Hey, so in this video, we'll be doing the Easter eggs and predictions for Season 5, Episode 19 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Beware spoiler, not cut up, and don't worry, I won't be spoiling anything about Infinity War, but there was a very vague reference to Infinity War in this episode, and I'll talk about it later on. But right off the bat, we had our S.H.I.E.L.D. team trying to figure out a way to deal with the Gravitonium, and they think they're going to send the Gravitonium to the sun, and so it's out of anyone's reach or whatever. But the phrase that Coulson actually uses, they're going to slingshot the Gravitonium, which is actually a reference to Season 1, Episode 2, where they were headed to Peru to investigate A084 to then go to the slingshot program, which was a rocket that would send dangerous objects to the sun. So it was out of people's reach, dangerous, like anyone's dangerous hands or whatever. But it turned out to be a fake project in Season 1, but it looks like it's actually a real project here. And it's actually that the word slingshot is actually a hidden reference to Yoyo, because Yoyo was actually Yoyo's name in the comics is actually Slingshot. So and her miniseries that she got last season was actually named Slingshot. So I wonder if S.H.I.E.L.D. is ever going to give the name Slingshot to Yoyo, similar to how Daisy has the name Quake now. So it would be nice if Yoyo got the name Slingshot. But I actually gave Yoyo the benefit of the doubt last episode, and I'm actually surprised what she actually said a couple times, where she actually believed killing Ruby was the right thing to do, and but it didn't last long because she found out that May and Daisy were trying to save Coulson's life, and she realized killing Ruby was for nothing because they're still stuck in this loop. So I actually appreciate that she actually came to that realization, and maybe they can fix the relationships that have already been severed throughout the season. But she goes on to along this whole heated argument the S.H.I.E.L.D. team was having. She says, "We did not pick you." I agree what she said, but I don't understand it to an extent. Like, I agree, like, no one picked, like, she was right. Like, no one picked Daisy to be director, but I don't understand why she said it, because that's not how jobs work. You don't get to pick your own boss, because no one picked Coulson to be director, no one picked Mac to be director in Season 3, and no one picked Mace to be director in Season 4. So why would they start now picking, or doing a voting system of who's going to be the new director next? That's just not how it works. But yeah, and speaking of Yoyo still, she brings up a point to Mac that I actually was going to bring up last episode, but I never did. But she tries to compare her situation to May and the whole framework life and all that kind of stuff. But the difference between May's situation and Yoyo, May had no other choice. She did try to talk her down, and it did not work. Whereas Yoyo literally ran in, saw that she was the destroyer of worlds, and she was the one that cut off her arms, so her judgment was being clouded by revenge. So and we don't know if killing or saving Katia in the real world would have had the same outcome as the framework, because Yoyo didn't take into account that the framework life wasn't just the reason the framework life wasn't, or was because of what it was because it wasn't just because of May's decision. It was because of all the decisions and all the different lives that were in that framework, or plugged into the framework. So it was because Mace was an Inhuman. Was because Coulson never joined S.H.I.E.L.D. It was because Mac got hope again, and Ward became was a good Ward, and then Fitz became a bad Fitz. So it wasn't just because Hydra didn't take over because May's decision, but it was a catalyst that happened because she was basically the first person to be plugged into the framework. So yeah, I can understand. I can see where Yoyo was coming from to try to convince herself that that's why she did what she did, because she didn't want to actually have she wanted to break the loop and all that kind of stuff. But still, and then we had Deke and Fitzsimmons and all that kind of stuff, and he starts talking about the Deke talking about the multiverse theory again, which the first time we actually hear about this was in episode 3, where he thinks he's gonna live in this new universe once they break the time loop. But I'm more inclined to agree with the Fitzsimmons theory, where if they break the time loop, Deke will cease to exist. But I'm not gonna take away the possibility that he could explore the multiverse theory in the next season or whatnot. And I know a lot of people would be pissed, but that would give the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. writers an opportunity to bring characters back from the dead, but in different versions. For example, Ward. A lot of people don't like Ward, but the multiverse theory does give the opportunity of the writers to bring back Ward. But when Deke comes into contact with the Marauders in this episode, and then explains or describes them to the S.H.I.E.L.D. team and all that kind of stuff, which got me really worried, because I was already worried going into the episode, because I saw the promo and I saw the Marauders had these weird like spike things that came out of their arms, and they were wearing all black clothing and all that kind of stuff, which got me to think of Robin's Drawings of season 1 or from episode 5, and it was about some woman dying or whatnot. So I was really worried, and I'm still worried because they're still around in the next couple episodes. But I just assumed that, okay, he said that I did not mention that about the foot-long razor claws, which just made me even more nervous that someone is going to die at some point. But I'm glad it didn't happen this episode, but it's still a possibility that someone is going to die because of these people or these aliens. But we had Daisy on the side where she visited the Candyman to drop off Robin and all that kind of stuff. And the Candyman said, "Weird kid. She drew a picture of a blue lady juggling someone's balls," which was referring to Sonara. And then he goes on to say, aliens, have you seen all this weird stuff happening in New York? Which I just assumed it was just a vague reference to like all the stuff that was happening in New York, like in Spider-Man, the Avengers, in the Defender series on Netflix. I just assumed it was a vague reference to that, but apparently it's actually a very vague reference to Infinity War, and there's more to come apparently in the next couple episodes, more references to what's actually happening in Infinity War. So I'm very nervous about the finale of this season. So yeah, but then Daisy says the Candyman can, and that's a reference to the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But he's trying to talk to Daisy about John Garrett and the Centipede program, which was back from season 1. And apparently there was a hidden healing component that was made by the Nazis and all that kind of stuff, or Hydra. And it was revealed later on that it's actually Jiaying, so it's possible that she's coming back next episode, and I really hope so. But I hope that Daisy doesn't have to go to a dark path that she cannot come back from, where Cal had to resurrect her by basically feeding people to her like a vampire. So hopefully she's willing to sacrifice some of her energy to Jiaying to bring her back to life, but also she could just or hopefully they don't actually have to do that. They could just dissect her and poke some blood or whatever, and put it in the Centipede program, and then bring fix Coulson, but not actually bring back Jiaying. It would be the easier way out, but I just don't think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s willing to do that. And then there was a little funny conversation with Davis and Piper where Davis told Piper how he survived Ada and all that kind of stuff, and we don't know how he survived. But if you have any fun theories about how he survived, comment down below. And I'm surprised what happened here, because it was totally off guard that they turned Talbot into Graviton, and I love the way that they actually showed it, where it was a blood splatter on like this container of like the word gravitonium, and it had the last 3 letters taken away, so it just said Graviton. So I really like that way of like revealing who he was. But there was another way of like connecting the dots before actually before it was revealed, because I had to do some research and all that kind of stuff. But I knew this before, but the original Graviton, Franklin Hall, is a Canadian scientist. So them being in Canada for the majority of season 5, whether it's in the future or the past, the majority of season 5 has taken place in Canada. So it's kind of like a nod to the source material. But I looked this up, and apparently at one point or another in the comics, Franklin Hall had had an head injury, and he had less powers because of it. And we know that Talbot has had a head injury now, so maybe he's a less powerful version of Graviton from the comics. But I really kind of hope not, because I wanted to be a big threat and actually have a team up between. And this is where all the theories come in: a team up between Graviton, Quake, Slingshot, Deathlock, Ghost Rider, and Absorbing Man. I really think that would be a cool team up, because in the comics he is a big Avengers threat, where a lot of the defenders aren't able to stop him. So I really want to see that. But May brings up the same phrase again, that Coulson brings the pieces together, and we don't know exactly what that means. It's a possibility that Coulson brings all the pieces of the S.H.I.E.L.D. team together, because as right now it's all fractured into different groups and whatnot, like they're all fighting one another. So maybe, and since Coulson is back in charge and everyone is listening to him again, it's possible that he's the reason that the S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back to normal and helps defeat Graviton. But the way I think Graviton is actually going to be defeated is actually, in my research, I actually seen a big theme to his character, where he was banished to a different dimension. And since they brought the idea of a fear dimension in this episode, or in this season, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. loves to wrap the storylines all together, it would be cool if they banished the Graviton to the fear dimension, and instead of killing him, so he could come back in a future season. So yeah, comment down below if I missed any Easter eggs or references, or if you have any predictions for the next coming episode. See ya.